Hello gamers, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles and a box breaking. This box breaking features You've Been Sentenced by McNeil Designs. The basic game is this big pentagon box. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to give you a real quick look at what's inside, and then we're going to briefly cover what everything else, all the expansions are. In the basic game comes a set of quick start rules, which is pretty important to me. We also have the full rules, full as in full, F-U-L-L, not foolish, which is something that you can actually play around with in this game. Then we have a score sheet, and we have cards, and a timer and a pencil for keeping score. So we'll set this aside real quick. The expansions are basically the same thing as those cards, and we'll get into those in a minute. We have science fiction fantasy. We have gourmet cuisine. Sports highlights. Brain busters. Pop culture. And NASA. Okay. Now this is the way you play the basic game. You get 10 cards. Every player would get 10 cards. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You take your cards, put them out in front of you. And each card has 5 points on it. For example, this one says strongest, strongly, strength, strong, and stronger. This one might say starting, starter, start, start, started. Your goal is to take all these words that you have in about a minute and create a sentence. So, I have Tiny Tim was learning colors cheapen cheapen, no, let's not do that. Tiny Tim was learning colors, was learning Marie Antoinette Tiny Tim was learning. That's a whole sentence. Goal is to use all your cards because you get scored. And here's how you get scored. You go right here. You have 5. If you use learning, it's worth 5. If you use learner, it's worth 5 points. If you use learn, it's worth 5 points. If you use learns, it's worth 5 points. If you use learned, it's worth 5 points. A good example. Colorful is worth 10 points on this card. So if you use the word colorful in your sentence, you manage to get 10 points if you get scored. So the goal is to be creative, make a story, and back it with your words. So let's see here. Let's do something crazy. Tiny Tim was learning blondish colors cheapen Marie Antoinette. Okay, now this is my sentence, and you would present it in order, just like that, so that when it's your turn, you go ahead and you read it. Anybody at the table can then say, "Hey, I challenge you, and I think that your sentence doesn't make sense, or it's not grammatically correct." Well, you go through, you go, blah, 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 I have verbs, I have subject, I have predicate, all that good stuff. But the real fun part, in my opinion, is when you get to tell somebody, well, Tiny Tim was learning blondish colors cheapen Marie Antoinette. What that means is Tiny Tim was learning that when Marie Antoinette dyed her hair blonde, it cheapened her strength and her character within the political world. And then they get to agree as to whether or not that makes sense to them, or whether or not that should not make sense to them. And basically, one person objects, and the other players get to either sustain the objection or say that it makes sense. So there you have it. That's pretty much the whole game, and you play a few rounds. We're going to come back and we're going to actually demo it out so you can see some of the fun here in a minute. I'm going to grab my children and we're going to play. Okay. Now about the expansions. Each expansion has a theme. I haven't opened any of these up yet, but I can only imagine what they are. Sci-Fi Fantasy is an add-on that you can use in two ways. You can mix the cards in with all the other cards, or you can just put these in just the way they come out of the box. So you can actually play a full Sci-Fi Fantasy expansion. Now I'm kind of curious. I wonder if they have a different back so they're easy to tell apart. I hope so. That would be a nice feature. So let's open up one of these and take a look real quick. They do not. But on this one we have Marvin Cylons T-800, Daleks, and Robbie the Robot. They're the same back. Again, this is Matt Lemke with Through Gamer Goggles. We're here doing a review of You've Been Sentenced by McNeil Designs. This is a great game. If you have a family, it's a great evening with your children that teaches critical thinking, strengthens grammar skills, and enhances creativity because of the way the game is designed. If you have any questions, you can go to McNeilDesigns.com. You can email them, look around their website, or you can post questions and comments at the bottom of the page here, and we will do our best to answer the questions that you might have. Thank you.